Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into a topic that, well, many of us think we understand, but maybe few truly grasp its hidden dangers. We're talking about the art of seduction. And let's be really clear up front. This isn't about casual flirtation, charming someone for a nice evening out. This is about something deeper. Often, it's a ruthless psychological power play, a strategic form of influence that can disarm even the most rational among us.
That's exactly right. And our sources for this deep dive, they really lay bare the intricate mechanics of this kind of manipulation. They reveal exactly how even very grounded individuals can become, well, frighteningly vulnerable. So our mission today is really to illuminate these tactics. Not, I must stress, not to teach you how to use them, but so you can absolutely recognize them and perhaps protect yourself. Think of this as a crucial warning. What we're about to explore, it's a hidden battlefield of the heart and of the mind, where affection, quite shockingly sometimes, can be transformed into a potent weapon.
Mm-hmm. And our source material for this exploration, it includes some really incisive analyses of human behavior, fascinating historical precedents too. We're drawing heavily on excerpts from The Art and Peril of Seduction, and also insights from authors like Robert Greene. It's a sobering look, really, at a very specific kind of power. It's not about romance, it's about power. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, and frankly, a little alarming right from the start. What struck me immediately in our research was this. Falling head over heels, it isn't just butterflies. It's described as a profound biological event, almost like your brain is specifically designed to make you susceptible at that moment. Our sources reveal that love floods the brain with this cocktail of chemicals that actively disrupt clear thinking. It often leads to a kind of single-minded fixation on the object of your affection. So it's not just an emotion, is it?
Oh, it's far from just an emotion. What's truly unsettling here, and the sources really hammer this home, is that this isn't some random emotional quirk. It's framed as a built-in biological trap. During intense romantic infatuation, the neural pathways responsible for negative emotions, the ones that usually flag danger or skepticism, they literally begin to shut down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about that. You're essentially left blind to warning signs, unable to see red flags or potential dangers, even if they're, glaringly obvious to everyone else. Hormones like cortisol, dopamine, oxytocin, they surge so strongly that your irrational defenses are quite literally deactivated. Yeah. As one source starkly puts it, when a woman makes you fall in love, you act like a fool.
Mm-hmm.
You lose perspective, you become emotional, pliable, and frankly, frighteningly easily misled. It's like a complete rewiring of your mental landscape.
That's a sobering thought, that our own brains can be chemically hijacked like that. And this twisted love high is precisely what master seducers throughout history have exploited. You think of figures like Giacomo Casanova, the legendary Venetian adventurer, or the enigmatic Egyptian queen Cleopatra. They understood this biological vulnerability better than anyone, it seems. They didn't see seduction as just flirtation. They saw it as a profound power play. Robert Greene observes, and it's a stark quote, that seduction is about power and manipulation as much as it is about romance. If you hold someone's heart, you can, it seems, guide their thoughts and actions almost at will.
And that's precisely where we connect this to the bigger picture. If cultivating love, or the appearance of love, is indeed the ultimate form of influence, then it raises a truly important question. What are the implications when this power is wielded without ethical boundaries, purely for self-interest? The very word seduce itself, it hints at this cunning, doesn't it? It comes from the Latin seducere. It means to lead away or astray.
Lead astray.
Exactly. This isn't about just exciting someone sexually. True seduction, as our sources define it, it isn't about mere lust. It's an indirect journey into someone's deepest emotions, creating an emotional enchantment that binds individuals, making them obsessively devoted, willing to surrender control. And the sheer memory of being adored, of being the sole focus of someone's seemingly intense affection, it makes the process itself almost addictive. Yeah. For both sides, actually. The target and the seducer.
Okay, so if love can disarm the mind like that, what kind of person is capable of orchestrating such a complex psychological operation? This deep dive forces us to confront that seduction in its most potent form is fundamentally a psychological game. It's not necessarily about classic good looks or brute force or even being some kind of naturally gifted charmer. What it does require, apparently, is a profound, almost ruthless change in mindset, where every single glance, every gesture, every conversation is seen as a potential opportunity. The successful seducer cultivates what's described as an everywhere, always presence. They never truly turn off their charm. They just tone down any obvious sexual intent to appear harmless, reliable, a constant but, pleasing signal in the target's day.
Mm-hmm. And this brings us to a crucial first step for the seducer. How do they even begin? How do they approach their target? It starts, as one source emphasizes, with choosing wisely. They don't just pick anyone at random. They actively look for someone who is primed to be enchanted, someone secretly craving what the seducer offers. Now, this isn't necessarily cruel in intent, perhaps, but it's a very practical assessment. Someone who already feels fulfilled, deeply loved, adored. They're almost impossible to move, emotionally speaking. But in stark contrast, a lonely person, someone restless or maybe subtly dissatisfied in their current life, they present an emotional gap.
A gap.
Exactly, a gap that the seducer can strategically aim to fill. It's all about paying careful attention. Who seems quietly unfulfilled? Who hints at an unspoken pain or boredom? Or who expresses a hunger for excitement, for validation that their current life just isn't providing? That's the vulnerability they look for.
That's a chilling thought, that someone might be primed and that the seducer is actively looking for that vulnerability. So, okay, once they've identified a potentially susceptible target, how do these seducers actually begin to study them? Is it like quick detective work or more patient?
Oh, it's absolutely a patient process. Our sources emphasize observing patiently long before making any direct move. This isn't about immediate action or, grand gestures at all. It's about deep, almost clinical observation. The seducer studies their target's life like a detective, patiently piecing together clues. What do they really dream about underneath it all?
Yeah.
What emotional scars did past loves leave behind? What do they casually mention when they're distracted, almost unthinkingly? Those little offhand comments can be gold mines. They're searching for that weak spot, an insecurity maybe, or a hidden desire that isn't openly broadcast.
Yeah.
Every person have those unspoken yearnings, right? And the seducer makes it their mission to uncover them.
So it's less about talking at them and much more about deeply understanding them first, listening.
Precisely. This initial phase is about listening and learning far more than speaking. A single, well-placed, thoughtful question maybe, or a gentle, specific compliment can prompt profound revelations about their true yearnings. The ultimate goal here is to make the seducer appear as the unconscious, perfect answer to the target's unasked questions. They subtly become emotionally indispensable through small, reliable interactions. Maybe they're the helpful coworker who's always there with a solution, or the compassionate friend who really listens, or even just that witty acquaintance who's always there in a pleasing, unobtrusive way. It's all about building this foundation of perceived safety and deep understanding.
Okay, and here's where it really gets insidious, perhaps. Once that foundation is laid, how do they actually make their approach? The sources say seduction never charges straight in. It creeps from the shadows, almost, accidentally. The advice is to approach indirectly. Cultivate what's called a harmless persona first,
Right.
like that friendly neighbor or casual classmate, allowing their presence to feel organic, almost accidental. The sources are very clear. Blitzing someone with declarations of love or constant overt compliments, that raises immediate suspicion. Human nature is just wary of being sold to too aggressively, isn't it?
Absolutely. And this slow, almost invisible infiltration builds profound psychological comfort. The target feels incredibly safe because there's no obvious pressure, no overt push for anything specific. And because of that safety, their emotional defenses relax completely. Now, what's fascinating about this indirect approach is that by acting uninterested or even somewhat neutral, the seducer creates an illusion of irrelevance, which paradoxically sparks intense curiosity. Well, the target starts to wonder about this quiet, attentive stranger. Why are they so different? Why do they act like this? What are they thinking? This internal questioning creates the fertile ground where true seduction thrives, in the unsaid. In the unanswered questions, the target starts asking themselves about the seducer.
But it's not all comfort, is it? The sources say comfort alone isn't enough. To keep the target fixated, you can't just be comfortable. A subtle mystique has to be maintained. Humans, our sources show, we crave the unknown. We're drawn to puzzles. The more someone has to actively figure you out, the more they invest mentally and emotionally in you. It makes sense. You offer these tantalizing glimpses, maybe of your passions or your past, but you always keep your full picture just out of reach. And there are psychological findings cited that confirm this. When someone is genuinely uncertain about your feelings or intentions, they think about you incessantly, and they actually feel more attracted as a result. Their mind just becomes fixated.
Right. And this raises a critical question about balancing these two seemingly contradictory elements. Profound comfort on one hand, subtle mystery on the other. Our sources outline specific tactics for this delicate dance. The seducer might say, stand slightly apart in social situations. Always leave something unsaid, allowing the target's mind to fill in the blanks, often with positive assumptions. They might be inconsistent on purpose, sometimes warm and attentive, other times cool, busy, maybe slightly aloof.
That push and pull.
Exactly, that emotional push and pull. It creates a roller coaster of intrigue. They use indirect compliments and hints, perhaps praising her intelligence or humor one day, then fading back to just friendly banter the next. The target starts analyzing, what did I do right then? How do I get that warmth back? It keeps their mind constantly occupied with you. The ultimate goal is to make the target's brain fixated on you like a mystery to solve, an intellectual and emotional puzzle they feel compelled to unlock. But, and this is a crucial warning in the sources, you must never make it look like a game. Always remain just out of reach. Not outright evasive or manipulative in an obvious way. The goal is to inspire desire through absence, through intrigue, not to annoy or alienate them.
Okay, so while these subtle psychological plays are unfolding, what about communication? How do they talk to the target? Our sources emphasize that the right words work like magic. But again, these words must never sound coercive or overtly manipulative. The seducer wants the target to genuinely think the ideas, the feelings are originating from themselves. This means mirroring her desires. It's about reflecting back what she wants to hear, what she needs. If she mentions feeling adventurous, you speak of freedom and dreams. If she's sensitive, you speak gently of understanding and hope. If you consistently express faith in her beauty, her intelligence, her untapped potential, she starts to believe those things about herself. And, by extension, she feels a connection to you for seeing them so clearly.
hmm And building on that idea of subtle language, the sources give crucial insights into how flattery is deployed. It's very specific. It absolutely must feel personal and specific, never generic praise that anyone could receive. That just feels cheap. Remembering tiny details, a childhood memory she shared once, maybe a past hardship she mentioned, a small ambition she has that signals, I see you, truly. When she feels genuinely seen and understood on that level, she experiences a deep sense of gratitude and attachment. It creates an emotional bond, almost an emotional debt. The language itself is also framed as a powerful weapon. Make your language poetic and soft. Use metaphors, imagery that deeply resonate with her passions. If she loves nature, you might compare her to a blossoming flower or a vibrant sunset sky. This kind of romance language subtly transforms the seducer into a muse, someone associated with pleasant, dreamy feelings. She'll even start to hear similar phrases or see similar images elsewhere and unconsciously think of you.
Here's where it gets particularly fascinating, and frankly, yeah, a bit disturbing. The strategic use of honesty as a mask. Casanova himself famously admitted that a blend of truth and daring flattery were his secret weapons. He would often tell outrageous stories, even lies, but with such conviction and apparent vulnerability that people, women especially, believed him. The advice here from our sources is to gently bend reality. Feign vulnerability when it aids your cause. For instance, pretending to be just as puzzled, even overwhelmed, by your own burgeoning feelings for her.
The I can't help myself angle.
Exactly. The moment someone believes you are helplessly in love, that they have captivated you, their resistance tends to drop significantly. But you have to maintain that delicate edge. Act slightly unsure, slightly overwhelmed by her charms. So it looks like she captured you against your better judgment. This disarms her defenses even more, making her feel powerful in the connection, ironically.
And if we connect this to the broader picture of psychological influence, this leads directly to another critical technique. It's moving in small steps, also widely known as the foot in the door effect. You hear about this in sales and persuasion too. The seducer asks for very little at first. Tiny favors, opinions, small emotional or practical investments. Each small compliance makes the target psychologically more likely to agree to the next request. They unconsciously commit to saying yes again.
Right, building momentum.
Precisely. In practice, it starts very innocently. Perhaps borrowing a book she mentioned, then complimenting her taste when returning it, or sharing a comforting story when she seems down, then later mentioning how her insights helped you through something. Every tiny favor exchanged, every small emotional sharing builds trust and investment. Over time, the target won't even notice they're letting the seducer into increasingly important parts of their life. Their boundaries subtly erode, so that by the time a truly bold move is made, she'll almost feel like she's initiating it herself. It's a masterful, gradual erosion of boundaries.
Okay, let's unpack the culmination then. The end game of this elaborate, subtle dance. After weeks, maybe months of this gentle weaving, the time finally comes to reveal intentions. And this moment is carefully timed. It's for when the target is described as unusually attached. missing the seducer when they're gone, maybe comparing every other potential suitor unfavorably to them. But the warning here is crystal clear. Do not ruin weeks or months of work with a clumsy confession or a desperate pleading declaration.
No, that breaks the spell.
Exactly. Instead, the advice is to let the passion emerge naturally, or seem to emerge naturally, from the profound bond you've meticulously built. This might involve a sudden yet tender gesture, perhaps an unexpected, lingering touch on the hand during conversation, a deep, meaningful gaze that holds for just a beat too long, or maybe a confession wrapped in poetic metaphor, something that feels spontaneous, not predatory. Because that trust has been so carefully earned and nurtured over time.
And the psychological impact of this carefully orchestrated revelation, it's described as immense. When the target sees the seducer, maybe for the first time, seemingly alone with genuine, overwhelming emotion directed at them, it feels like a profound privilege, not a trap. The response will likely be equally intense because all these hopes and fantasies have been nurtured for so long, built on that foundation of trust and carefully curated mystery. Sex, if it occurs, according to the sources, only cements the enchantment. It feels utterly inevitable, even destined, not accidental or coerced. Once the target is fully under the spell, as the sources describe it, she will willingly surrender. Crucially, she'll genuinely believe she fell in love on her own terms, which makes the manipulation all the more powerful and insidious. You will have, in essence, subtly taught her to be mesmerized by you.
And this leads us straight to the final chilling warning, a crucial caution, not just for the target, but interestingly, for the seducer themselves. The sources state, "This path is dangerous for you too," and say, "These methods, they manipulate real emotions, real trust. If the seducer ever deviates even slightly from their carefully crafted persona, or if the mask slips, the target may feel deeply betrayed, and that can lead to powerful resentment, even revenge. And perhaps more dangerously for the seducer, if they become emotionally entangled themselves, if they start believing their own act, they risk losing control of their own game, becoming vulnerable to the very emotions they sought to weaponize. It's a real double-edged sword."
It absolutely is. And this raises that important question. What is the true long-term cost of such manipulation? Casanova himself, for all his legendary conquests, often knew that the aftermath of intense passion could easily turn to bitter disappointment and profound resentment. The sources sometimes advise, often quite coldly, a swift, sudden end to the affair if things go sour. To preserve the fantasy, the beautiful creation, before familiarity and resentment poison it. Taking a broader perspective, refusing to even consider these tactics is, as the sources suggest, perhaps futile. Seduction, fundamentally, is a form of influence, and influence is omnipresent. You see it in advertisements, in politics, in persuasive arguments, even in seemingly innocent friendships. People try to influence each other all the time. Learning about these tools doesn't necessarily mean you'll abuse them, but pretending they don't exist leaves you dangerously vulnerable to others who do understand and use them. The ability to make someone love you, or believe they love you, is described as at once the greatest power and the greatest danger. Use it wisely, or perhaps better, use it with extreme caution. Be aware of it. Because the moment love becomes a weapon, rather than a genuine affection, both sides risk utter destruction.
So what does all this mean for you, our listener, taking all this in? This deep dive into the art and the peril of seduction reveals a profound, almost unsettling truth about human vulnerability and the intense, often invisible power of emotional manipulation. It's a stark reminder, really, that what seems like pure, spontaneous affection can sometimes be a carefully orchestrated trap.
Yeah. And our intention today was absolutely not to condone these tactics. Not at all. But rather to arm you with crucial knowledge, awareness, recognize the subtle signs of calculated influence, understand the biological and psychological vulnerabilities that can be exploited, and use that understanding to truly protect your own emotional landscape. Awareness, as our sources so clearly show, is genuinely your strongest defense against those who might seek to lead you astray.
We hope this deep dive leaves you not just informed, but incredibly aware, and perhaps, a little more vigilant. Be cautious out there, be discerning, and perhaps appreciate genuine, unadulterated connection even more deeply when you find it, knowing what the alternative can look like.
And we leave you with this final, maybe provocative thought to consider. In a world where influence is power, and seduction is undeniably a potent form of influence, are you truly aware? Aware of the subtle ways your own desires, your own emotions might be being studied and mirrored by others, even in seemingly harmless everyday interactions. Stay vigilant and keep exploring.